The question is whether we understand the mind-body connection or mind can affect the body. One way we all know the mind affects our body when we are under stress. And in order to understand that, we need to know what is stress. Stress is basically the way our body responds to its environment to maintain the good health. And basically, in order to understand stress, we need to understand the key word here. The key word is good health and maintenance. So, if we go to the authority that defined good health, is the World Health Organization, who defines health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, not the absence of disease or infirmity. Now, if we go and analyze what is complete physical and mental, completeness refers to 100% body parts. In other words, we need to have all our organs, or otherwise we are not healthy. And 100% of our function, and 100% of time. In other words, we need to have all of our organs that they work 100% of time, all the time. If they work half of the time, they probably are not healthy. Now, the aspect of this that we want to talk in order to understand stress is function. Now, we can define function as a performance as well. In other words, performance as a cellular level, tissue level, or organ level, system level, or body, or complete body. Now, if we go on a chart and see the relationship of a performance compared to stress, we can see there are various ways we can analyze stress. Now, the beginning, of course, if we have zero interest, basically that's where we also have boredom. In other words, we don't do anything, so we are not under any stress because every time you move, you do any function, you start having a stress. Now, when we are in our area of perfect performance, usually we have a lot of stress, whether it's in sport, work, in anything. But that's a stress we usually welcome. We love that type of stress. Now, when we are under high stress, we call it in our body a state of fight or flight. In other words, our body goes through a literal physiological response. If a bear goes after it, should we escape the bear or fight the bear? That's why we call it fight or flight response. That's a stress that usually is the obvious effect of a physiological response. That's what we are pointing at. That's a stress we studying here, and it could be real or it could be non basically imaginary. If somebody pointing a gun at us, he may shoot us, he may not. Basically, the initial stress in our head. Now, is an interesting study was published that they were studying the family of the care and a caregiver of Alzheimer patient, and they did a very interesting study. What they did, they made a 10 millimeter incision in their hand, and they waited to heal. And what they did, they compared it to average population, and the response was amazing. It took 9 weeks more for a caregiver Alzheimer patient to heal compared to average population. Now, where these people are in real danger? Absolutely not. This fight or flight that they have is mostly was in their head. We call it imaginary danger. There was no danger going after them, but they're under huge stress. Now, in order to understand how this phenomenon happen, we should go back to the lab and a petri dish. And an interesting person, developmental biologist, the name Bruce Lipton, started doing very interesting experiment. He knew that the cell are either in growth mode or reproductive mode versus protective mode or protection mode. So he put the cells in a petri dish, and next to them, he put nutrients. And over time, he saw that they basically the cells move toward nutrients. He did the same thing with the toxin, and he saw over time they move away from toxin. It was very interesting. So did it in various way. The word put them together, toxin and nutrients, just toxin, just nutrients, and eventually he find out that the cell move away from toxin and go toward nutrients. Now the big question is here: away from toxin and nutrients at the same time? Absolutely not. The cell usually, actually most of the time, either is in growth mode or protection mode. So the question is, when we are in fight or flight, stress, high stress, can we go be in growth mode? No, absolutely not. So this happens at the cellular level. We have trillions of cells in our body, and these trillions of cells in our body, they can be studied. How they move around by studying the signals that comes from environment. Either these environments, signal from environments are positive or negative. Now, what is the ultimate positive signal that our cells receive from environment or our imaginary thought is love. Love is the ultimate positive signal. And what is the ultimate positive negative signal we get from environment is fear. Fear is the ultimate negative response from environment. Now, is an interesting fact about love and fear. When we think and focus on positive, we usually call it meditation. Now, when we meditate on fear, we call it usually worrying. Now, worrying is an aspect of our life that we could put us on an imaginary stress that it could put us on happiness and anxiety, put us in a fight or flight response, and eventually affects every cells in our body. Trillions of cells in our body get affected by, remember, the fight or flight, that eventually affects our good health and maintenance of good health. So easily we can get back to mind body connection through a stress. So the message today is move toward love instead of fear. Thank you.